myself, to know myself. I show for the earth from which I came. My prayers to you to do the same. I do not show the skin for you. I show myself, to know myself. I show for the earth from which I came. My prayers for you to do the same.
Plato told the story of Atlantis around 360 BC. The founders of Atlantis, he said, were half god, half human. They created a utopian civilization and become a great naval power. Their home was made up of concentric islands, separated by wide moats and linked by a canal that penetrated to the centre. The lush islands contained gold, silver and other precious metals and supported an abundance of rare exotic wildlife. There was a great capital city on the central island. So it does fit what the Eye of Sahara looks like, you must admit. Right guys, here's the next bit. Atlantis, also spelled Atlantis or Atlantica, a legendary island in the Atlantic Ocean lying west. Now, this is key, lying west of the Strait of Gibraltar. Now, does it mean it's west, or is it you go out of the Strait of Gibraltar and then turn west? Obviously, because in the time this was written, it's only the last few hundred years that we've actually used the cardinal directions, and I'm going to put in after this a long clip from a video I made called, All Maps Are Lies, basically. So I want to include that just to show you that all maps, cardinal directions, all that, it is up for debate. So when these actually say it's lying west of Strait of Gibraltar, do they mean you go through Strait of Gibraltar and then turn west? That's the point I want to make. So I'm going to include a long clip after this bit, just showing you an old video on that, theses. The principal source for the legend are two of Plato's dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. In the former, Plato describes how Egyptian priests, in a conversation with Athenian lawgiver Solon, that's who it all comes from, Solon, describe Atlantis as an island bigger than Asia Minor and Libya combined, and situated just beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the Strait of Gibraltar, about 9,000 years before the birth of Solon. So obviously he's heard it from Solon, and then 9,000 before that, that's when it actually supposedly existed. Atlantis was a rich island whose powerful princes conquered many of the lands of the Mediterranean until they were finally defeated by the Athenians and their latter allies. The Atlanteans eventually became wicked and impious, and the islands were swallowed up by the sea as a result of earthquakes. In the Critias or Critias, Plato supplied a history of the ideal commonwealth of the Atlanteans, and I don't want to go really in depth on all that, because this video just showing you different, brief theories on it. And as you can see from the picture there, this is a map of Atlantis from 1664, and as you can see, the arrows pointing down, meaning south is at top, because in them days, Jerusalem was at the centre. Some of them had north at the bottom, some had east at the top. It is really all over the place. And that is why I was stating before, is if west is west, is it, can we take it as being the cardinal directions as we have now? It's just a thought. I'll read a little bit out below. It says, the island of Atlantis, as depicted in engraving in Athanasius Kirch's Mundus Subterraneus 1664 Subterranean World. This map, based on the Egyptian maps, is orientated with the south at the top. Note the compass arrow pointing down, so America and the Atlantic Ocean lie to the right of Africa and Spain. The text and the legend on the upper right translated states, the site of Atlantis, now beneath the sea, according to the beliefs of the Egyptians and the description of Plato. So, and I'm going to include a few other videos. There's one I did a good year ago on Atlantis, and I'm going to include that So just because I've been talking about tectonic plates, earthquakes affecting and destroying Atlantis, the actual location of the Eye of Sahara, as you can see by the little arrow, is a place now called Mauritania. Now it gets its full name from the ancient Berber kingdom and the later Roman province of Mauritania. In the Middle Ages it was part of the Almoravid dynasty. It conquered most of side of Africa into Spain and the Moors and El Cid and all that malarkey. But I just wanted to show you the tectonic plates, the location, show you how close they are to the location. I mean, one of the worst tsunamis to be caused by an earthquake happened to Portugal, which you can see is right on the tip of that tectonic plate. So like I said, I just want to include that before I show you the video of the maps and different things that I was talking about, that in fact is not too far away from one of the main tectonic plates. And coming up is the actual clip from the video, Maps, the Greatest Lie Ever Told. What if I told you all maps are wrong? Why change the maps? When did they do that? I'll try and answer all those questions. What if I told you the cardinal directions of north, east, south and west and maps are a lie? If they lie about everything else, why stop at maps and the cardinal directions? It is only within the last few hundred years that North has been constantly at the top. The uncomfortable truth is that despite almost everybody imagining that the world is this way up, there is no good scientific reason to think of North as being the root of the world. The story of how it came to be considered to be that way is a heady mix of history, astrophysicists and psychology, and it leads to the important conclusion. It turns out that the way we have decided to map the world has very real consequences for how we feel about it. Given such a long history of human map making, it is perhaps surprising that it is only within the last few hundred years that North has been constantly considered to be at the top. In fact, for much of the human history, North almost never appeared at the top. According to Jerry Broughton, a map historian from the Queen Mary University, London, and author of A History of the World in 12 Maps, North is rarely put at the top for the simple fact that North is where darkness comes from, he says. West is also very unlikely to be put at the top because West is where the sun disappears. So it's very interesting. Confusingly, early Chinese maps seem to buck this trend, but Broughton says even though they did have compasses at the time, this isn't the reason that they placed north at the top. Early Chinese compasses were actually orientated to point south, which was considered to be more desirable than the deepest, darkest north. But in Chinese maps, the emperor who lived in the north of the country was always put at the top of the map, with everyone else, his loyal subjects, looking up towards him. In Chinese culture, the emperor looks south because it's where the winds come from. It's a good direction. North is not very good, but you are in the position of subjection to the emperor, so you look up to him, says Broughton. So that is why we have north at the top, basically, and I'll be showing you more and more on this. Muhammad al-Idris's map, Tabula Rogeriana from 1154, upside down with north at the top. The Hereford Mapping Monday from 1300. Christian maps from the same era called Mapping Monday put east at the top towards the Garden of Eden and with Jerusalem in the centre. Mapping Monday, plural, mappe, Monday or Mundi, comes from the Latin words mappa, meaning towel, and mundus, meaning world. Maps like the one in Hereford were originally painted on cloth and later drawn onto animal skin or paper. This is where the English word map comes from. Given that each culture has a very different idea of who or what they should look up to, it's perhaps not surprising that there is very little consistency in which earlier maps pointed. In ancient Egyptian times, the top of the world was east, the position of the sunrise. Early Islamic maps favoured south at the top because most of the early Muslim cultures were north of Mecca, so they imagined looking up south towards it. Very interesting, this, just putting a different perspective on the whole topic of maps. When Columbus describes the world, it is in accordance with east being at the top. Columbus says he's going towards paradise, so his mentality is from a medieval mapping Monday. Nicholas de Cillian's map, made in 1566, upside down. But there's really no good reason for the North to claim top-notch cartographic real estate over any other bearing. As an examination of all maps from different places and periods confirm the North is man-made. There is nothing inevitable or intrinsically correct, not in geographic, cartographic or even philosophical terms, about the North being represented as up, because up on a map is a human construction, not a natural one. Some of the very earliest Egyptian maps show the South as up, presumably equating the Nile northward flow with the force of gravity. Little joke there. And there was a long stretch in the medieval era when most European maps were drawn with the east on the top. If there was a doubt about this move's religious significance, they illuminated it with their maps' pious illustrations, whether of Adam and Eve or Christ enthroned. In the same period, Arab map makers often drew maps with the south facing up, possibly because this was how the Chinese did it. So far you should be getting it and actually getting to the point where you're thinking, wow, Paul's making some good points here. It just shows you how much has been changed. Right guys, what I'm planning to try now is just to not help the theory, because it's not my theory, and I'm not sure if I'm heavily into it. Is this the location of Atlantis? But I still found interesting things researching for it, and I want to show what I found. So as you can guess, this is Africa. You have Egypt and the Nile at the top, and you have Mauritania. There you have Gibraltar, the Straits of Gibraltar. From Plato's story, it says go west through the Straits of Gibraltar, and obviously it's in the Atlantic. Now, a long time ago I made a video on Atlantis because of this. It is a why. I've done a lot of videos on a why philosophy. You have the Trinity above, and you also have it going through the major earthquake fault line, so it would rapidly be destroyed. Anyway, so Plato says go west through the Straits of Gibraltar, and remember it was 3 or 4 islands with a huge river or canal system, and basically the huge canal went all the way through to the capital in the middle. So I thought, well, I can't look on Google Earth for rivers if they're not there now. Sometimes you can zoom in and see the dry river beds, but you know, I've not got the greatest computer. It's on its last legs. I haven't LiDAR. If you don't know what LiDAR is, it basically shows you anything that was hidden underground. It's really good technology. But I found a map from 1492 by Jorge de Aguirre, and in this map it does show you river outlets at this side. As you can see from just the naked eye there is ones there, and some further down at Guiana, Bissau and Gambia way. So what's interesting is, let me just zoom in now and show you the eye as live as we're doing it instead of just pictures. So there you can go. You can quite see there is the eye, and obviously I'll put a little picture of Atlantis at the side, what you've seen already, and you can quite see it is very similar to Plato's description. If you 3D it, you can quite see. It is a weird anomaly, isn't it? Go back to 2D so you can see above. And like I said, you're looking for a river to come out with, and you can't quite see it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a look at a map, try and use something. And as I'm making this video, I'm showing you an old video. Strangely enough, this bit was in one of my old videos. Nothing in regard to Atlantis or anything. But here you go. This is the map. It's from 1492. As you can see, there is Gibraltar. There is the Nile. You have one huge outlet there at the top, roughly opposite. So let's see if we can see that on the new map. This would be further at the top in Morocco, I'm assuming. There we go. And that, I'm assuming these white bits are either boundaries or riverbeds or rivers. So you can quite see there's one there, and then maybe this is one here. Like I said, I'm not messing with the settings while I'm showing you live. So that could be one. And then obviously we have it. You got to just roughly guess, and that's why I said you need some discernment. There's some islands not far from side, Cape Verde, and then obviously Tenerife, and that up further up that way. It's interesting. So let's go back to that old map. As you can see, major outlet at the bottom. Looks like some islands there. Then you have some more islands, and then a huge inlet river going down. So I'm assuming by this map, because obviously it's not accurate, that the Eye of Sahara is roughly going to be in this location. I'm assuming you guys would agree. Obviously there's no definition of the Sahara or nothing on here, but there is more river outlets all down this side. And I just found it interesting that I could compare a 1492 map. And there's some islands, Cape Verde, and there you go, St. Louis. I'm assuming that would be either that one or that one. Let me have a go look again. Is there another island above it? There is. So there is two islands. That is Santa Cruz de Tenerife and Maspalamas. So you can safely assume those two islands would have to be those two. Then let's go back, and the Eye of Sahara is roughly in the middle, give or take. Yeah, give or take. Yeah. So two islands and roughly in between. So this rock outlet could be the you know, one of the basins of their eye. As you can see, it's on a mountain ridge. There you go. That could be that. I'm just assuming, guys. I just found it interesting that I had this map from 1492, and I could show you this location. See what you guys think. If I can remember, just to show you that old clip, what was funny is, I don't know why it doesn't do it now, but I am 100% positive that in an old video, this said Atlantis and Plato when you zoomed in. And look, why stop it now? Why take it away from you? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find that one bit now, and I'll just clip it to the end of this, because I just found it interesting, because obviously that's on the fault line. And I did an old video on Atlantis being the why, because this why is so prevalent in our brain. It's the antenna, the why philosophy in life. And it was called Atlantis. So that was from another video. I'll just put a little clip, if I can find it, if it does say Atlantis and Plato. Right, guys. Here's the clip I was talking about, where I actually show you it saying Atlantis and Plato. But just look at some of the names that it's called. Plato Seamount. At the top, Atlantis Seamount. So these ridges or mountains, what they would have been, one of them's called Plato and the other one Atlantis. So this is light detection and ranging LiDAR. I didn't put a description or anything, so you know, I'll do it. Anyway, LiDAR uses light in form of pulse lasers to measure the ranges, and obviously you can see this is just a generic one, and this is actually what happens. A plane goes over, shoots lasers back, goes over the terrain, it cuts through trees, sand, you name it, and it forms a picture of what the actual location looks like. Now this is LiDAR for the site, the Eye of Sahara. If you look actually at an ancient riverbed, and you can actually see it, and I'll try and put an arrow there, they've actually boxed it. So remember that map, it must be in roughly this region where a huge riverbed actually did exist. So that does tie in to the theory that people have on it. So the next theory, could it be an ancient solar panel or solar farm? This is just an example. This is a vampire from Las Vegas. Now take a look, guys. Does this not resemble the Eye of Sahara to you? It does look like it. I'm not saying it is. I'm just suggesting, could that what be the Eye of Sahara is an ancient system to collect the sun? It's just an idea, and as you can see from the pictures, it does resemble. Now I'll put 4 of them together now, like 2 from the Eye of Sahara and 2 from the solar farms, and you can quite see they do have a similar look to it. Now I posted about this a good 3-4 weeks ago when I saw the solar farms, because it just reminded me. Now one of the downfalls of this is very famous for this in Las Vegas. It fries birds. The sight of the bird being fried to death is so common at the vampire solar plant in California's Mojave Desert that the workers have nicknamed the smouldering birds streamers, because they have tiny wisps of smoke behind them as they burn up. So no birds can't fly over this circle solar farm without being fried. So that just gets you thinking, doesn't it? It's just crazy. So you can just see why I've included this as the next theory, because of this. It just looks like it. Now coincidentally, I will show you on the map where it is, but also they're actually saying now in the media, why don't we turn the Sahara into a solar panel farm, a huge solar panel farm? You saw the media saying, should we turn it into a solar farm in the Sahara? I mean, we know they love to show you stuff and suggest stuff that's already happened, so could this be true? This is the Ivan Parr solar system. I've measured it across roughly the middle one. I know the other ones are bigger, and this is 1.964 meters long. Well, 1,000, sorry. And in miles is 1.22 miles. That looks like the medium-sized one. And if you look at them, don't they resemble to the Great Pyramids of Giza, how they're stacked? So yeah, this was just interesting to me, that could, looking at the Eye of Sahara, which is known as the Ricket structure, or the racket structure, could it be like the ancients were harnessing the power of the sun when this was made, and that is what this is, if it is anything. So this is just one of the theories. So guys, my next theory is, could it be an ancient irrigation type of system for growing crops? I've done a little bit of research because of something I spotted while looking around Las Vegas on the Google Maps. You will see that soon in a minute after when I've done this bit. But there's a system called center pivot irrigation. It's also called the water wheel. And in Egypt, they use the Nubian sandstone aquifer system to, buried beneath the sand, to draw up the water in the middle of nowhere, and it goes through sprinklers or any type of irrigation type of system, and you can grow crops in the desert. Now, could this be this? Just a theory. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and show you what I mean. Hopefully it's remembered. I don't think it has. Let me see if it has. Hopefully this will work. And here you go. So this is a small airport. Just get this off the screen. And look at this. So let's just measure, while we're here, roughly what one of these is. you're talking half a mile wide, right? So let's zoom out. It's not going to stop measuring. So let's zoom out. Can you see me what I'm thinking now is these are to grow crops or whatever they're growing. Look at the size on it. So, you know, should we measure from there to there, a rough guess of the size of the complex? It's not letting me do it. Come on. So from there to there is 42.34 miles. That is staggering. Come on, Paul, stop. So you can see the complex. Now, could the Eye of Sahara in Mauritania be an ancient one of these? Because it's certainly interesting me, this, because look at it. It is, I measured it before. It's about 160 miles away. Just move this round. It's about 160 miles away from the Nile. And there's the Nile to the side. Now what's interesting is you'll find these all over the desert in the middle of nowhere, and that's just what made me think, could this ancient system be an old form of these? As you can see, I mean, just look at the name for this site. It's Berber, the tribe of the culture that is the country where the Eye of Sahara is, and you have them everywhere. Normally I'm used to, you know, the normal square rectangle type of irrigate, you know, fields to grow crops in. You can see them here. That's what I'm used to, but now we can see these circles dotted around, and they're huge. And so you'll find some of them like this are going to a different colour, whether or not they're being used, the water's been run out, or they're just not being used, or they're growing something of that colour. And you can see they're everywhere. Now the reason I got onto this, it was like I was saying, I was looking at something in Las Vegas. So if we go to Las Vegas, and let's see if we can reach in searches, and that's where I spotted it. And I thought, wow, what's this? Because when you see something from above, you think, you know, what is that? And then you type it in and you find out that it's an irrigation type of system. And it does look like the Eye of Sahara. There you go. They're dotted around the place. So not only in this similar valleys, you have the solar panels, but you also have these crop circles, the irrigation, the water wheels. Could, like I'm saying, could they be that? It's certainly interesting enough to just put on the you know, the theory pile, as we say. I just thought it was too interesting not to show you guys as a possibility of it. Right, guys, I'll show you that video now that I found something weird. So this is like a little bonus, like totally off topic, but interesting enough. So for this video, you know, I'm looking at centre pivot irrigation. As you can see, there they are. I mean, they're beautiful, isn't it? Like crop circles. But what caught my eye is when I was just zooming across, as you do, I saw this mountain range just pass. It's got no name. I can't see no name on it. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, that looks like a foot. And you can quite see it. It's a foot. You can see the heel, and the imprint only leaves a half, and the toes. That just looks like a footprint. If I didn't show you, see how big it was and blah blah blah, you think, yeah, that's a footprint, an old footprint. Now I'll put a picture of a footprint at the side now, and as you can see, it is, apart from the toe indentation, if I can say that word, I think you can just see one there, and what was left, it is a similar shape. Now, as I said, I can't prove this, but I'm just showing you what I found. I found it was interesting. Look, what looks like a giant footprint. And while I'm here, I'll measure the distance. Can I just measure the distance to show you from the biggest point? Let's get that. There we go. So I'll be kind of say there, and we'll measure it down to the heel, just there. And as you can see, it is 2,734.89 meters long. See if we see that in anything else. 273,000 centimeters. That's not useless. Nautical miles. Well, let's just say in miles. 1.7 miles long. The actual, what I'm saying is a footprint long. Now, that is one huge footprint. Now, what's funny, or a coincidence, or just one of those things, look what town is. I don't know how near. It must be a couple of miles. I'll measure it. Look what map town called Enoch. Let's measure it. Let's see how close it is. I'll just go from the name. And we're talking 23 miles away. 24, 23, 20. Nearly, set it round up, 24 miles away. So we have a town. Come on, stop measuring. A town called Enoch. Just close. Now we know what Enoch and angels and giants. I just thought it was just like, no way. And then I just looked, near it to see what landmarks are near. I mean, there's so many things that you can look at on Google Earth, as we know what it is. But there you go, guys. There you go. Just looks like a footprint. Right, guys, it looks like a footprint. This is a 4,000-year-old footprint in a museum. I believe it might have been found in Sumeria, Mesopotamia way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ghost this and put it over top of the mountain, just so you can see how much it resembles a foot. So I'm going to do that now for you guys. This is just like icing on the cake for me when I'm researching and find something interesting like this. It just gets you thinking, doesn't it, about other things in the head. And I'm looking for the, like I said, them the centre pivot irrigation systems, and it's all round here, as you know, even in Enoch. And I saw this and I thought, that just looks like a footprint. And as you can see, I put some at the side, but this time I just want to make it fall down, zoom down and go over the actual footprint itself, but ghosted. So I just wanted to tell you what I was doing so you can see. Right, let's try it now. I'll just stop this, and then obviously I'll have to put it over the top. So here's another theory now, guys. Top left, you have what is believed to be Atlantis. Bottom left is the Eye of Sahara. And the two pictures on the right are the Great Walls of Benin. Now, people are talking about it being Atlantis. What if it's not Atlantis, but it's another civilization, culture, maybe the Berbers or someone else that we do not know, who made the Eye of Sahara as a fort or a fortress. As you can see, the Benin walls are in the Guinness Book of Records. Now I'm going to show you a quick clip, because I've included the Great Walls of Benin in a video that I did called The Great Walls. So it'll be a little bit more info on it, and I'll just put it next. But yeah, to me, it looks like the setup from the Great Walls of Benin, and that's in near Nigeria, or in Nigeria now. And the famous Benin bronzes, that's the culture from there. It just looks identical, similar type of layout. Could this in fact be what the Eye of Sahara is? The longest wall in history is not the Chinese one, but the wall in Benin. It was over 9,900 miles, 16,000 kilometres. So that just makes you raise an eyebrow. Why are people not talking about it? Did you know in the walls of the Benin city in modern Nigeria, the largest single archaeological phenomenon on the planet? They are 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China and consumed 100 times more material than the Great Pyramid of Cheops. So there again, it's just showing you the huge size and how it relates. Now, we know about Wakanda from the Black Panther films, and these guys were basically based on that. That was based on that. That's what the science say. So as you can see, here's just a few pictures of little bits of the wall. It's still left, moats. And it's just very, very intriguing that this is in Africa too. So you have a circle city with walls thousands and thousands of miles long, and we're talking about the Eye of Sahara being what, 10-20 kilometers long, it's easily possible that that could have been one of these type of cities in Africa, because this proves it. I mean, this used to be on top of the palace, and this is just a representation. It's not the actual size of it, and you can see a snake going down with a bird on top. It's just beautiful. And again, history wiped out. It's always Great Wall of China, nowhere else. But this place outdid that. And then here's just a concept drawing of what it could have looked like, again in the circles, just like the Eye of Sahara. That's all I'm asking. Could it have been another city like this? And if you're wondering what happened to the majority of the walls, and the answer is the British. The British destroyed most of the city, all the ancient walls, just like they're trying to hide history, blame it on war. So as you can see, this is just an image. I could have used any image, but what the science and all the research showed me, the British just destroyed Benin City. So the next quick theory is I'm just suggesting, could it be petrified or remains of a giant tree? Because you can see some of these examples here, it does remind you of the Eye of Mauritania or the Eye of Sahara. And these are just the interesting things I like to ask. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean I'm saying it's this and this. I just like to theorise and, brainstorm with you guys watching it. Could it be a tree stump? Funnily enough, in the Sahara, because we know it covers Libya and Algeria and so on, they do have a lot of petrified tree stumps, as you can see from the pictures I'm just showing you now. And I think this one's in Libya. It's coming up. It's the largest petrified one, I believe. Don't take my word for it, but as you can see, there is another one petrified. So this little section is just asking, could the Eye of Sahara be what's left of a fossilized or petrified tree stump? Just asking a question. See what you guys think on that one. Another theory that I've just seen while researching for this video was that it is a dome. That a dome structure, whether it was, when you think of a dome, you automatically think of glass, don't you? But they say it was a domed type of rock, for whatever reason, earthquake or natural disaster that we do not know made it collapse in on itself. So what the rings on rings are just the roof system of it falling on in itself. So that's just another one I've just seen. So I'm going to put it in to see what you guys think of that one. This theory that it was some sort of domed outcrop and it's caved in, and that is what is left. So to finish off, as you can see from these pictures, there's a guy called Theodore Monod, and he supposedly have found the Asilar man on the coast. I don't believe in evolution, as what they say. Well, anyway, he so-called found that, and from what you saw of the pictures, he also found antler and arrowheads and everything around the ricket structure from the dots that you saw planted on the picture. So it's just, I wanted to finish with that. if it can before my thoughts. I could have gone on for ages, guys, but you know what I mean, there's only so much you can fit in a certain amount of time. But what's also interesting is when I did the hourglass video, people were telling me, yeah, that looks like the Berber flag, that looks like the Berber flag. Well, as we know, the Eye of Sahara is in the Berber area. So that was a nice little tie-in from a few videos back to now, and I just smiled when I remembered people telling me about the Berbers and then this flag. Right guys, so my thoughts are coming up now.
Yeah, they call me the black sheep. You know they call me the black sheep. I'm running wild while you're asleep. That's why they call me the black sheep.
Hello. Alright guys, hope you've had a good week. I don't know when this is going out, so I don't know if it's weekend or in the middle of the week. Who knows? Let's see. So hopefully you've had a good week, wherever you are. To the new subs, because I've collected a few lately. I've just been out in the garden picking them up. Thanks for subbing. Hopefully you enjoy the collection of videos and topics that I cover on this channel. The people in the chat are a brilliant bunch, so if you ever want to come in, say hi, please do. They'll make you feel at home. Right guys, so I've just made this video and it's weird how I came across it. People have been saying to me for a while, make a video on what your thoughts the Eye of Sahara is. And also I've known about it for a while, but I've just never had the reason to make it. I don't want to make videos just for the sake of it. They have to mean something, like something happened in the week, or you know what I mean, like I'm being pushed. Anyway, so I did a post on social media about Las Vegas, its etymology of its name and why it is what it is. And when I was looking around at some of the names, of surrounding towns and mountains, I saw the footprint. And I'm like, no way. So when I'm looking into that, and obviously I recorded it, I seen the centre pivot irrigation system, and I've not seen them before. So I thought, what else? What else could I find? So then I found the Vampire solar panels, and again I saw square solar panels and farms all in squares, but I've never seen them in circles. And because it was in the back of my mind about the Eye of Sahara, I thought, no way could the Eye of Sahara be an ancient farming system, or could it be for harnessing solar panel? Because as you can see from headlines, people are asking them why don't they turn Sahara into huge solar farms, and it could be a case of history repeated, because they like to do that. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a video on it. Some people believe it's Atlantis, and you know how I make videos. It's not the case of me saying, no, I don't believe this, I don't believe it. I just show you what I find. Like this, I've showed you more than just my theory. I showed you other theories, some I don't even agree with, because I find when I make a video, it's nice to see the comparisons of different people's opinions. It's not just my idea, because obviously it's just my idea. Some people resonate with it, some people don't. So I like to just put other people's theories, whether you agree with them or not. And that's what I believe. I'm different. A lot of people would just make the video showing their standpoint of view, and that's just not me. I like just treating it like information. I don't get triggered in the sense of I'm not screaming to scream, oh well, I don't believe it's Atlantis, I've researched this. You know what I mean? That they're the people who get triggered, and they have to sit down on hard and think to themselves, why am I getting triggered over a subject? It's not just you in this world. We're all here. We all have had different opinions and different perspectives and different truths and different traps. So I looked into it, and funny enough, I did theorising on where Atlantis could be a long time ago, and I include that little short footage in it. But just because the story behind that, if you've never watched the video, is I took a picture of the sun one day, because I regularly take snaps, to take comparisons. And I did, what's it called? What are they called now? It's not when you overlay like a filter. I put a filter on it, and it reveals all binary code, ones and zeros, and I'm like, wow, is that just the app? Like, when if you get it free, it leaves a watermark or a ghost mark. I thought that was just it. So I took it again the next day, and it wasn't there. So I thought, no way. So I typed in all the numbers that appeared in the sun, and it showed me a Y. And I've done a lot of videos on the why, the philosophy, and then that, and I was just like, wow, could you get any more evidence to point towards your theory? And that's what was making them in all the why philosophy videos. So then when I'm looking into Atlantis and Google Maps, I noticed just off where I showed you, there was an island shaped like a Y. And it was just, no way could you have any more in your face for you, because it's like a personal journey, isn't it? So that's how full circle I came back to do this video, is sake of do Atlantis, have a look into that, see what people think about where it is in Mauritania. Could it be have a water system, and in ancient times it did? I don't personally believe it. Is that because there's no archaeological finds for advanced tech? But that just means nothing, because obviously they're not going to tell us how they. But my thinking is, then, as soon as I saw the circles and the circle and people talking about Atlantis, they even use the same Atlantis pic to portray Benin and the cities, Benin city walls. And not many people's heard of that. It's like that was the Wakanda of the time, advanced. They had 9,900 miles of walls in the cities like that. And I'm thinking, wow, that just looks like the representation of what people saying Atlantis is. So you're thinking, well, Nigeria, Benin is, yeah, it'd be a few thousand miles or whatever it is on the map away. Could that just be another civilization in the Sahara, walled cities? And it could quite be. As I said, I'm not saying it's fact or nothing. This is the beauty for when I do my videos. I leave it up to the people to make their own opinions, because these are just thoughts. I'm thinking out loud and brainstorming, and the beauty of it is I'm making a video and I'm recording it at the same time, so it's for future reference. So you're looking into all that. You're thinking, could it be the Benin City? Could it be a solar panel system? Could it be the centre pivot irrigation? And you find them all over Africa. And what I didn't know is, obviously before I found them in Las Vegas, and I'm assuming they're everywhere now, using groundwater and the centre pivot, and that's what makes the water, the green water wheels. So that was cool, and to see them in like so huge numbers, dwarfing the size of the Eye of Sahara, lends credence to, yes, it could be that. You also had it. Some people saying, like, I say some people, it's not like anyone I know, it's just from the web, saying it was an enclosed system and it collapsed in, creating the circle on the circles. Some people believe it was an old volcano, and then people screaming there's no such thing as volcano, because people get triggered. They follow people's theories, and because you say something different, they get triggered. People, it's all information. I never say any of my information is fact, because of what the system is. It's all lies, it's all truth, it's just information. And people always say, well, I've researched this. Where have you got your information on? Books can lie, because it's one person's interpretation who wrote it. Same with the internet. All my information could be a lie. There's no way of us physically proving what we say. We can just use the internet for information and leave it up to you guys to form and picture in your head what the scenario is. And that is why I did the video last week of talking about his story. If you notice, when I started all that research years ago, there was no information. Now it's everywhere. Now everyone thinks they're an expert. I'm not an expert. As the saying goes, the more I think I know, the less it actually is. Because it's just strange how this environment that we're living in, people all think they're experts because they have Wiki and Google a point. I don't. And when I put posts, people are contradicting me and putting the copy and paste method. It is all information. Why can't I put my information that I found onto my own page and see if like-minded people enjoy that information? But no, people get triggered. People get triggered because they want their information to be right. Remember, the truth is a trap. That's why rut's in it, and it's also personal to you, so you can create your own trap. And when I do my research, I just look at it as information, and some information I've not got around to researching yet, and I could change my mind, and I always roughly change my mind on different things. So that is why I never come out and say this is fact. It's like this now, the Eye of Sahara. What could it be? It could be just a natural formation. Or people could have made it. It's just a mysterious site linked to the past that just makes us want to know what could it be. Take for instance when Solon describes it and Plato describes it of going through the Straits of Gibraltar and going west. Now, did he mean going west in the westerly direction through the Straits of Gibraltar, or did he mean go through the Straits and then take a west? But then you're taking into what I've talked about, the maps. All ancient maps. It wasn't north, east, south and west. You had east at the top, you had west at the top. So when in that era was west and east at the top, or whatever it was at the time. So you can go in a totally different standpoint of view. You have to think to the theories, was he lying? Was he high on something? Was he drinking? And all these are all plausible, or is it all made up for people like me to research and keep yourself occupied? This is what the things we always talk about, even with amongst my friends. This reality seems to be the case of when you start looking into something, things just appear like on purpose to keep your head down in the research and not looking at what your reality is. And that is some of the things that we all have to look into. Just a weird feeling that you have, that like people say the world is a stage and we're all actors and extras and all our parts being written. You know what I mean? So we have to just look into these things for what it is. I like researching and looking into things because it takes my mind off the daily grind. So in a way it does work. And I like to formulate theories. But theories are theories. So you can put me in practice and then evaluate, experiment, and then once, twice, and see if it works. And then it so-called come into the scientific theorem. But most of mine are what ifs and spiritual type of videos. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people think there is. But you know what I mean? They're the people who are steadfast. And like that, is it Chinese or Japanese proverb? They won't bend in the wind, they'll just break eventually. So this is just a good video. I've enjoyed making it. I've asked a few questions. Could it be this? Could it be this? And hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. And then it could go even deeper, because when I did the Maps Don't Lie video and seeing how North is a man-made construct, it was made to like as a form of salute type of thing. You're looking up to your betters, and that is in history. That's actually written in history, and people will scream at that. They don't realise every map is a lie, and that's why I made it. They're either religious, political, in the essence, in how they're made. It's a case of if you had land now and you wanted to get a bit more land and you brought in your own map maker, he would move the border slightly outer to give you more land, or he would design it in a way that it was bigger for you, for your ego, for your standing. And this is the same with maps. All maps are a lie. It's as simple as that. You can either agree or disagree. You know what I mean? And if people were so advanced back in the day and they were navigating without the need for north, they were just obviously looking at Polaris. And people think Polaris has always been the North Star, when it hasn't. It's been Thuban. And then, so that's changed. So what we're getting at is people, for instance, like Mercator made the famous map of Mount Meru. I've talked about this. He didn't leave the building. He had people out there, cartographer, making the maps themselves, bringing all the information back and giving him, and he made the map. He set the poles at infinity, meaning he was never planning on going there, so he could just make them whatever he wanted. And they were a projection. So at these times when these maps were made, we just don't know the layout compared to what the modern day layout was. So if they say Atlantis was this way, it could mean another direction. But then again, this could be wrong, because it's just me formulating an idea and a theorem. And so, like I said, I don't say, it has to be this, or don't you watch me. No, I'm not that type of person. So when you're talking like this setup for maps, taking into the form of Atlantis and how we are now, is, did it exist? Will we ever know? Because it's just people's theories and ideas. Yes, there is ancient peoples mentioned a mystical island of where they came from called Atlan, I think is the Mayans and the Aztecs. But for instance, we don't know the calendar dates because they changed that. They changed a lot in the Great Vowel Shift. They changed the science. They changed where we actually lived to a heliocentric model. They changed the language, and that's when they brought the compass in and the cardinal directions, all in the Great Vowel L Shift, vowel to L. So you can see my point of view is the Great Reset that no one ever talks about. They always talk about this, and this on all these sites. Yet the Great Vowel Shift, a theorem that I come up with, yay, seems to incorporate everything into a nice package. And sometimes you think, yeah, well, it's too obvious to be that. You know what I mean? And it could quite well be. And we all have our topics, say, because I said I do research a lot on this channel of different topics, but you do have your set topic. Mine is like Janos, and then a few other things. But I do look at everything else, but that is your niche. And then you look on other channels and they have their niche, and then, you know, so this is what we always have. But as you can see from the video, I believe it's a good video. I didn't want to go too really in depth. I didn't want to talk about I could have been here all day. I could have been talking, could it have been ancient mining? But when you see these people, they're talking about, and this world is an ancient mining system, and I've talked about that in other videos. I talked about how this some setup looks like an electric arc furnace with slag heaps and that. Every mountain cannot be a mining system. Not everyone, but these people will say it. You know what I mean? It's sometimes the people ruin because they want their thing to be fact. Everything's got to be this or nothing. There's no in between. And I don't know why it has to be that in any count of truth. Why does it have to be your truth or the highway? And that is why there's a lot of fraction and friction, and why the community is not united, because people cannot have, well, I believe it's to be this, you believe it to be that, we can't get on because it counteracts and, you know, contradicts my theory. We all have, and I've proven this many times, I've talked about this many times, that the truth is personal to you. We all see different. So if we all see different, who's the person, who's the judge to say you are right, you are wrong? Could have been the fact that we're all right and we're all wrong. We're just seeing what we physically see. It's called a truth wavelength. I did a video on that a long time ago. And because we're only a wee little channel, people don't like talk about these topics. It's not the case of I want my theories to be right. I just want people to put it in the mix, because we're only looking, when you go into certain channels or big theories that's out there, you only get one or two options, and it's, oh well, you have to take the red pill or the blue pill. Well, I don't want to take no pills. I want to do what I want to do. I want to look at you know, Joe Blogs, or, you know, a nameless person's theory over there, because there's some points that make sense to me. I don't agree with it all. It's like this video. You might not agree with most of it. Even though I point out it's not facts, I'm just showing other people's theory. People always take offence to anything, and you can never be always right. I mean, even it was so surreal, counteract, going back slightly, that I do this video on the Eye of Sahara in Mauritania, and that's an ancient Berber tribe. And people like 2 videos back were showing me the Berber flag, because when I did the Tempest Fugit video, and if you've not seen it, please, you know, go back and watch it, because you will enjoy it if you have discernment. And it just shows you about the hourglass and the times, you know, the sand of time. And we're in Sahara, and it's full of sand, and the Berber flag is the hourglass. And I'm like, no way, how sinking is that to like talk about another topic, but finally come back and show what people's been sending me about the Berber flag. Now you think about it, you start looking then on Google Maps to look at the weird anomalies that appear in all the deserts. Could it be an ancient mining system? Because you have Libyan glass, you have Egyptian glass. And some people have theorised, and I've talked about it, when there was the Great Flood, did the water come through the Milky Way that's known as the Great Rift? and the crystal, because I believe the firmament around us is like a liquid crystal, because it has so many different states of matter, and did the glass create the sand, and that's why you've just got that one patch of heavy sand through the middle, even though these areas are really fertile. It talks about it in ancient times that it was a forest, not a forest, a jungle type of thing. So could the eye be a petrified or fossilized tree stump, or what's left, or some sort of fossilization of whatever was there? So that's another intriguing thing. That's why I just like to put in a few theories instead of just blabbering on about my own theory, or what the bigger theory is. And that is the excitement of making your own videos. That's why I say to people, if you don't like some of the stuff I mention and talk about, make your own. Then the way you're getting your story and your point of view over, it's hard to make a video, because you're going to get certain comebacks if people get triggered over certain words, and the joy and fun of that. But if you want to get your ideas across, that's the only way you can do it. It's just intriguing, isn't it? It's just so mysterious, and it's not just the only mysterious thing in this realm that has you wow, because even mainstream science, and you can only take the information as the word is information, say that the Earth's core, and the core, people triggered who believe in flat Earth, it's flat. We've only been down 8.2 miles or something like that from the Kola bore drill, and it got stuck. We don't know what's below there, but a core doesn't mean, it just means it's a centre. So these science say the centre is a crystalline forest, a jungle of huge crystal trees. Could this be the essence, what's left of a crystal tree, hence the roots coming to the system? So all these things, you just have to, like I said, treat it as information. And I just thought it was just an intriguing and look at the mysterious world that we live in. Because, like I said, unless you have physically been there and seen it from the air, and seen the topography and how it's actually built, because in pictures and in obviously images it is deceiving, because certain images it looks like it's more rounded and more hilly, and some of it looks completely flat. That's why you have to leave it as an open question sometimes and just keep putting answers attached to it. But I believe it is mysterious and interesting enough. What do I actually personally believe it is? I just don't know. And I've been honest, I keep on going changing. I don't restrict myself. Could it be an ancient city from another civilization and being walled like Benin? It quite could possibly, because they've done a bigger size of walls at Benin. So why can't they do a smaller, just 30-mile radius, and then in and in? It could be, or it could be any of the things I've mentioned. I know people sometimes like, you got to, I don't like put myself on the fence as such, because you can get shot off or you can fall. I just like looking at the information and saying, well, that's more plausible, that's not. Could it be Atlantis? I don't know, but I've not seen the evidence for it. Yes, it does resemble the shape. Yes, it did have an ancient river system coming to it, but I just think it was too far inland. And then, obviously, the other theories, you know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm not knocking any theory, and some people want me to, and it's just not my style, guys. I'm just here to make a video and make it so you guys can watch it and, you know what I mean, laugh, learn something you might have not known, and then I learned something that I wouldn't have known that you guys will put in the comments. And that's what the beauty of it is. We're all learning from one another. We're brainstorming. And that's what I love best, to brainstorm. And I believe I've done a good video. I've put some theories that maybe people have not thought of. Like I said, I don't know, because I don't go in many groups, so I don't know people's ideas on it. Because, people in general are cool. You guys who come follow me are really good. You know, you make me humble and proud to be involved in this channel. But on a whole, people, like I said, have egos and they don't like me coming into groups with a different interpretation, a different opinion. Doesn't mean it's fact, but you guys know how I am, and people seem to get offended by it. So that's why I say to myself, and it's a shame that we can't mix and all give our own opinions. And that's what I miss, brainstorming to loads of people, giving their ideas and seeing what they come to, because people always want their opinion to be truth, when you should just laugh and enjoy what you've got, because you never know what you're going to find from someone saying, well, I believe it's this, and you thinking, oh, I don't believe that, and then they say something, well, I believe this because, and then show what research they've collected, and you're like, well, really, yeah, that I don't believe that, but that sounds cool, and that's interesting, and that fits into a little bit of what I'm trying to say over here, and then that makes your picture better from being a no. That's why you never should discard any information, because that's what it is. It's just information, and we're in a time of history of them dictating what information that we get and how it correlates and how it's changing on a day-to-day basis. So we're living in strange times. This is a video of the Eye of Sahara in the Mauritania, the Berber district. What is it? Is it what some people believe to be Atlantis? Is it a centre pivot irrigation system on a big scale, like one single one? Is it a fossilised tree stump? Is it the ancients using solar panels to harness the sun, or any other essence to harness power? Then you have, didn't leave anything out. Then you have, could it just be an ancient culture, civilization like Benin with the walls? So them theories do step on. And then I did the video of it with the giant footprint, and then superimposed that foot coming down, and it does look like a footprint in the essence of it does look like, you know what I mean? So I just put a little video together. Hopefully, guys, you've enjoyed it. Please, if you do enjoy it, please just take a second to hit the like, because then I know you've enjoyed it, and it helps with the algorithms, because on this channel we're getting heavily censored as it is. They're not showing me comments. People think I'm balling it. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just a strange thing. And even on Facebook, when people are telling me YouTube censoring them, I said, yep, it's happening on a mass level. You put certain words in or certain things, links or ats, and it treats it as spam, and it just makes it delete. So I always try and answer what I can. I will never answer a comment that seems to be aggressive or troll, because I'm not giving people time of day. If you want to be nasty, do it somewhere else. My time is precious to me. I have other things to do, family, and I'm not on here as much as I used to be. But when I am, I like to spend it with like-minded people. It's not the same. It's not the echo chamber. It's like-minded. There's always that difference, and that's what I love. So guys, please keep safe, stay safe, always wear a smile, don't let the bar stools get you down on you, and hopefully I should be in the chat because they'll premiere it. So I'll see you in the chat, guys. Enjoy it for what it is. Maybe you've not heard one of the two theories that I've come up with just for this video, and see if you like it. And if you do like it, thumbs up and share it. When you go on other channels, tell them watch the Black Sheep instead of the other way around for a change. Right, guys, take care. Bye. I'm crazy. Bye, guys.